Good evening, fellow Gothamites and all the ships at sea. It is great to see you again. Tonight we're here at the Filmwerks talking about building the legend. On YouTube is the Outworlder Ultimate Edition, and it exists because a few fans like you at a few comic book stores and conventions decided to ask a few questions. Many asked why the Outworlder left Earth so quickly instead of talking to his wife and daughter from the rooftop of a Hell's Kitchen apartment all night. People asked me where he went so fast and who he contacted and where his new missions would take him. Now I understand that the Outworlder doesn't have a life. He lives a mission at quantum warp speed doing a job that nobody else can do. And while most civilians find him difficult to relate to, plenty of military personnel and first responders can somehow relate to him. They've been there. They know that the mission comes first and that all priorities like family, home, friends, anything else you can think of all come secondary, tertiary, so forth. So let's adjourn to the studio where all this happens. You can just turn around and walk through the kitchen and turn to the right. The great executive chair is yours. Come on, Rachel. Come here, you. Let's go to the studio. All right. Come on, boys. People ask me where the Outworlder warped away to so quickly. What had to be done so soon? Now, as originally written, the Outworlder was very open-ended. Now, you have to remember, I wrote this thing back in 1988 over in Europe. And Europeans, they seem to like open endings. They like them because they promise numerous possibilities. But nowadays, fans like an ending that's more finalized, more cut and dry, more with a bow on it. And we all know what Stan Lee said, that without your fans, you're nothing. So, in response to what my fans were asking me, I wrote and created an epilogue scene. And during that time I was doing that, I also did some editing to speed up the pace. You know, some of those pictures on there are like 15 or 20 seconds for some of those action pictures. Nah, they're cut down to like 5 to 8 seconds now, so it's cut less like an art project, more like an action movie. People also said the original version was so quiet. Well, so I added sound effects and music. If any of you are interested in any kind of video editing, you want to see what Apple Final Cut Pro X can do for you. Now, when you watch the Outworlder Ultimate Edition, you will rapidly notice the improvements. It is the best pre-visualization of a movie that will never be made. Which brings us to what so many people keep asking me. To this night, people tell me I should contact a Hollywood agent, show them Outworlder, and sell out. Now, any of you who know me, and you know what a grouchy old bastard I am, you know that I wasted 28 years writing screenplays, novels, short stories, stage plays, TV pilots. And none of them won any literary contests. They didn't get the attention of any agent inquiries or anything else that might allow you entry into mainstream. So, another case in point. Do you know what happens to your script when you sell out to Hollywood? Well, all too often they buy the name, strike your name off as the original creator, and then appoint some puppet, probably some guy who still has wet ink on his BFA, and that little twerp is going to change the script so much that it will be unrecognizable. And when the announcement is made at the next San Diego Comic-Con, you are not going to be the one who is recognized as the creator. This little guy is. And even worse, a year or so later, when the $200 million movie comes out, it's going to be a train wreck. Yeah. Morons will like it. Maybe even a few critics will like it. Yeah, you know anything about critics? Most people, yeah, they become critics because they haven't got the brains to be real writers. But I know real Outworlder fans will not like such a movie. they'll be coming back to me saying, "Oh, Ed, why the hell did you sell out? You know what a mess those people make. Why did you do it?" I'm going to answer that for you. I'm going to answer why we're not going to do that. We're going to review some cases together. How many of you know how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold the rights to Superman for in 1938? $130. $10 a page for 13 pages. They got 5 years' work at national publications, then they got their walking papers. If not for the efforts in the 1970s of Neil Adams, Len Wein, Denny O'Neil, Julie Schwartz, and others at DC Comics, those men would have been forgotten. They did get their byline restored and a pension, but we all know they never should have been severed from their creation. This book I bought at the Harvard Bookstore. It's written by Larry Ty, and you can find it either at Harvard Bookstore's own website, or if you really want a literary adventure, go to the Harvard Bookstore itself in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It is a fantastic. It's like being an archaeologist looking for literature. It's incredible. How many of you have gone to comic book conventions and found Roger Corman's Fantastic Four movie on DVD? It was never meant to be seen by you, the public. And check out Amazon.com for this documentary, Doomed, which is a story about that movie. You're going to interview the writers, the artists, the actors, the production design people. It's an incredible documentary about all the things that, all the incredible efforts these people made to make a movie that was never going to be seen. And wait till you find out why. You've seen Batman and Robin at least once. It almost ended the Batman franchise because too many idiots ruined the soup. And the Catwoman movie could have been more, but was not. How many of you have seen the movie version of Wanted? Yeah, the studio bought the name, cherry-picked some pieces, and did what they wanted. Total train wreck. Read the graphic novel of Wanted and see the story of dimensional hopping criminals doing crimes on other Earths and then jumping back to this one. Much more visionary than what ended up on the screen. Plenty of you are devoted X-Men fans. Plenty of you can find the plot holes and the differences between the comics and these films, such as how some characters should not have met for another 30 years, or how so many continuities got crossed the wrong way. And I'm sure you remember some of the more recent Fantastic Four movies too. Now, if I was going to make a Fantastic Four movie, I'd literally turn comic book to screen. It would be a 1960s period piece. No live action. It'd be done in CGI that looks like the classic drawings in motion. The same look, same costumes, same flying bathtub fantastic car, same 1960s era Manhattan. And the dialogue would be practically word for word, verbatim. Fans looking at it and then looking at their comics would think, damn, the books came to life. And imagine hearing Henry Jackman's music. Absolutely epic. You see this comic book library on CD-ROM right here? It has numerous 1961 Fantastic Four comics that I'd use to base a more faithfully written version of the script. But we all know that Marvel Films is not going to be calling on me to make a Fantastic Four movie. Damn shame, because you would have had a much-deserved good time. Those of you who've been to San Diego Comic-Con lined up in the 106-degree heat on a Friday afternoon to get into Hall H. There you saw Kevin Smith talk about what happened to Superman Lives. John Schott made this terrific doc about all the things that went wrong. You can get it on Amazon.com. I think he also has his own website. You can get it there too. I could explain it to you, but you're going to have much more fun watching this DVD and Blu-ray yourself. And wait to see Nicolas Cage in the Superman suits and the set designs from the movie that never happened. And you have to see the efforts Jodorowsky went through to assemble a team only to get the rights pulled away. Imagine how different film history might have been if his version of Dune hit theaters before Star Wars. Jodorowsky has his version of Dune in a very thick book. Only a few people in Hollywood have copies of it at all. But because of rights disputes, he cannot even put it online for you to see. So the only place you can see it at all, or any portion of it, is in this Blu-ray documentary, also available on Amazon.com, Jodorowsky's Dune. Now, I created Outworlder. The rights will not be sold, so you can see my work anytime you like. No lawyers, no studio bureaucracies, nothing whatsoever getting in your way. Yeah, I composed this piece, No Heroes Welcome Home, back in 1998, shortly after I got this machine. That was, unfortunately, I lost my ability to compose 2 years later when I got electrocuted in the basement. In fact, right below where you're standing right here. Yeah, I got zapped in the furnace room. Lost a lot of creative marbles that night. It's like, since then, I don't really hear any music in my head anymore. I really can't put anything together, because like sometimes if you can hear it in your head, and then you try to press buttons on here and try to match up what you're hearing in your head versus what you got here, you can sometimes get something done. And this machine is capable of doing quite a number of different sounds. And but unfortunately, it's being used by a guy like me who is not at all musically inclined. However, it can make some incredible special effects, and you can hear those in the Ultimate Edition too. They came out very well. I've been on the out for 51 years. So I took the John Galt approach and went on strike from the mainstream. I'm having a better time doing my own thing. At Gotham Filmwerks, even with a zero budget, I'm still getting some results. I don't have to send memos or wait for approval from anybody. No bureaucracy, no stall tactics, no focus groups, no creative differences, no lawyers. I think it happens. You don't give up control over your life's work for nickels and dimes. When you've made do without money for 51 years, then you learn to use other tools to succeed. You're looking at most of them. I have 83 drawings to paint for Outworlder 2 Diva Rising. I've already drawn all 130 drawings of Outworlder 3 Judgment. And I am 7 drawings into Outworlder 4, The Villain's Journey. I'm writing Outworlder 10, and 11 and 12 have been outlined. So, I have a lifetime's work ahead. It takes 5 years to make each Outworlder project. DC Comics and Marvel Films have 15,000 employees at least for each film. They have $1 billion production apparatus, and all I have is what you see in this room. 28 years ago, when I returned from Europe, I wanted Gotham Filmworks to produce independent films, computer games, and comics for sale as downloads. But with no literary sales, there's no money for a building, equipment, or personnel. So I make do without. And this is what you're here to witness. It does not matter that the mainstream takes no notice of people like us. They all know they're on borrowed time. They really do. They know they're on borrowed time with all those remakes and reboots and reinterpretations of things you saw 30, 40, 50 years or so ago. But if you want to see who is making the future, just look around you. I mean, in your physical room you're in right now. Look around you. You are the future. Today's websites and YouTube channels are tomorrow's streaming online networks. Hey, you got to see this. This is the latest Star Trek magazine. Wait till you see this. You go to YouTube nowadays and you see these Star Trek episodes and movies, some of which are made better than what CBS marketing can turn out. Individual chapters and fan clubs of Starfleet now have their own movies and episodes, all fan-made, made by people like you. Now in Ticonderoga, New York, there's a gentleman named James Cawley. I'll show you a picture of him right here. Here he is. He's got the blueprints of the original sets on Stage 9, back when they were back when the Star Trek episodes were being produced back in the 60s. There's Mr. Cawley himself. Yeah, and he's got a tour. You can come and see his sets and learn how to make your own episodes there. It's a fantastic time to be an independent creator. It really is. And it isn't just in Ticonderoga, New York. This is happening all over this nation. This is happening all over the planet. Fans all over Europe and Asia and all points in between are blazing the final frontier. And just like you, I want to see how Discovery and Orville are going to turn out. Now, the galaxy far, far away is populated by fans whose films are seen in a contest at San Diego Comic-Con. Oftentimes, it is even judged by George Lucas himself. Awards are handed out by the stormtroopers of the 501st Legion. I saw myself on a Thursday night in July of 2006. Now, you can look at superhero, science fiction, horror, fantasy films made by people like you on YouTube and many other places, many other websites like that. In 2008, at San Diego Comic-Con, on a Sunday morning, right after the retrospective on Dave Stevens, there was a big announcement about the ElfQuest movie. The Peonies themselves were there. My brother got a photograph with them. Check Jim Delaney's Facebook page. Scroll down, you'll see him. But think about it. This announcement for the ElfQuest movie was made in 2008. It's 2017 now, 9 years later. I have not seen a movie about the Wolf Riders. Nah. Not made by Hollywood anyway. But some night, I'm going to be looking through YouTube and I'll see an ElfQuest movie made by fans. Fans will probably film the thing in Arizona. Yeah, they'll film the forest in the northern Arizona and then go south to film the desert. And this group of fans will accomplish what Hollywood could not. That's amazing. You have to remember, you are the creator. You are the future. You see what I do, and I want to see what you create. Tell us about it on social media. Because the definition of art, at least to me anyway, is the representation of your thinking, your inspiration, your intellect, your talent, brought to life where we can experience it, see it, hear it, same as you do. Oh, and when that little cretin tells you that you cannot accomplish your goal, yeah, remember this, they cannot accomplish it. You spite them. You spite them and you accomplish it anyway. Do not be afraid to stand alone. I had a friend in Europe, and one of the many things that she taught me is that the extent to which your critics hate you is a measure of your own greatness. Yeah, and she's never wrong. Never. Whatever your inspiration, never think your voice is insignificant. Because on the other end of this screen is someone who needs what you have to say. Never go silent. We all want to see and hear your vision. I'm Edward Joseph Delaney of Gotham Filmwerks, bidding all of you, citizens of Gotham City, a good night, wherever you are. And thank you for your continued interest.